Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka, and this week, boy, oh boy, have I got a show for you. Katy Bampton is my guest. Katy was a kindergarten teacher leading a vanilla lifestyle. And then one night, some of the parents of the kindergartners took her out and she wound up having a 7-person orgy with 3 couples. I know. We get to it. Katy is now one of the bigger creators in swinging, non-monogamy, on social media. She has an OnlyFans. She's married to a porn star. What is their life like? You're going to hear some of the actual lifestyle things happening in the background of this episode. It's a lot. It's amazing. It's educational. And it also, like, if you're curious about this world of swinging and non-monogamy and all of the things, you're going to love this one. So without further ado, this is my conversation with Katy Bampton.
This week's conversation.
Katy Bampton, welcome to Sex Party. How are you doing?
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is the same song and dance for me every week. They're like, oh, he's chasing more people around the internet, but I really did kind of chase you down a little bit to do this interview. I mean, I feel like it'll wind up being a positive experience for all. The audience is going to get so much out of this. We're going to have a good time, right? But so it justifies my stalkiness. It justifies like my, whatever you want to call that, like outside in the bushes, like do the podcast kind of thing. So for the people who don't know you, right? They've never seen you. They've never heard your voice. Can you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Of course, yeah. So, hey guys, I'm Katy Bampton. It's Katy Fit on all my handles. And I'm a breathwork and sensuality coach and a leader in the swingers non-monogamy world. And this has kind of all evolved and grown since my own journey. I used to be a kindergarten teacher. I had a very, let's say, basic vanilla life at one stage in my life. And I had this one moment in realization and seeing there was so much more to life than to what I was living. And I went on my own internal journey into navigating curiosity and finding myself in a swingers party with the parents of the kids that I used to teach and babysit, which is how this next chapter of life evolved. And ever since that moment, it's been a constant evolution, growth, change. And with all of that, my learnings, my education, my wisdom, and what I've taken for others, and now I can bring to the world through non-monogamy and the swingers lifestyle, using the practices of like breathwork and inner self of sensuality, because we live in a world definitely of society. There's a lot of judgment around, but that's all in our mind. And if we can actually tap into the body and feel like, oh yeah, my body actually feels okay with this, or my body's excited, or my body feels curious, and taking away what that mind, the judgment, the ego, the attachment that we have, if we can let go of that and just be present, life's for living and life's to be explored. So when me and my husband are in the swingers, the non-monogamy world, we've got a bit of an open relationship where we do have the permission to explore with others in the sexual realm. We host swingers parties. We are going to Jamaica in January to host a fitness and swingers retreat resort. So this will be new vanilla couples and experienced swingers couples, because no matter where we are in our journey, we're always coming back something else. And the biggest thing that I've gone through myself is uncomfortability to get to where I am today, to help and support others, knowing that like you can have so much fun. You can have all the pleasure you deserve. You can have girls, guys, ladyboys, swingers, daddy, daughter, whatever that desire, the fantasy, food that is. You can have it all. There's nothing that's wrong or right. It's whatever sits with you. And yeah, this is what I preach and love to share with the world, because this is what I practice myself as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the best intros we've ever had on the show. So I thank you for laying all of that out, and it gives us so many different places to jump to. I think before we go to the beginning, right? You said you guys host a retreat. It's fitness and it's non-monogamy, right? Swinging, right? If I'm not mistaken. And you said that you have vanilla couples like just starting out, and then you have like experienced couples that are in the swinging business. No, the swinging field. I don't know.
Swinging world,
right?
the lifestyle.
Yeah. So do those couples then mix on these retreats? Like, give me some juicy details. Like, do they ever?
Yeah, definitely. So whether it's an event, a party, or a retreat, generally, let's say your vanilla couples are curious and wanting to explore. So maybe they've had their conversation in their relationship, or if they come individually, and they will approach the party. If they're then experienced, all the experienced people know how the vanilla are going to feel. So they often welcome the vanilla in just to feel comfortable. It's not always about sex. And this is definitely a big misconception in the world. People think, swingers just for the sex. I love the freedom, the ability to be able to connect with who you like energetically and not always physically, rather than be like, who are you talking to? Or don't look at that guy, or kind of thing. That's not the world that I personally want to live in, which is why I do what I do now. Mm-hmm. And so a vanilla couple would come, maybe feeling a little bit anxious or nervous. And as soon as they can notice and see and feel that they are welcomed and that this world is totally normal with the other 100 people in the party, it definitely allows them to feel more comfortable as they step in as well. And it's always great to meet new people. That's one great thing about the world, is the variety that people bring. And I think safety, comfortability is definitely a big one in the world as well. And because the openness, it's all there.
Well, I think that's kind of a genius chess move to pull, really, because, who do you want to learn more from, or who can make you feel better than someone who's not only been in your shoes before, right? But also who's been doing it a long time and has experience with all the things you're about to experience and experiencing. So what a genius chess move to jump back, right? To go back to your origin story with all of this stuff, because I think that swinging, non-monogamy, even like just having thoughts about, like this chick's hot or that dude's hot or whatever your thing is in your mind, there's just like level of guilt, really. Like if you're in a relationship, if you're not in a relationship, if you're masturbating to this or whatever it is. And I think that's really interesting to me to hear about where you were, and if you always had like non-monogamous, like swinging kind of sexual thoughts about multiple partners. It's something you always desired. So you said you were a kindergarten teacher, and that's where it started. So if you could talk a little bit about not only like your first experiences, right, but was this lifestyle, swinging, non-monogamy, multiple partners, like was this something that you were always interested in, like growing up too?
I remember having a conversation with my dad. I was about 22 or 23 at the time. I'm now 30. And I had a conversation with my dad, and I said, I can't imagine being with the same person for the rest of your life. And I was young at the time, 22, to actually, obviously it's words that come out of my mouth, so I was feeling it, but I didn't really understand what maybe I was meaning in life, because I wasn't experienced enough. Fast forward now, I'm 30, and this is the life that I live. So obviously, it was in me. I just didn't, up until now, the recent couple of years of my life, I've never had that permission or the space to actually embody it and to jump into it, because I lived a very vanilla lifestyle before. And as soon as I had that space to be able to be like, oh yeah, this is where I want to be, then I've just gone full force into it. So yeah, my first experience, so as a kindergarten teacher, I was babysitting the children. And I've got close to the parents, had a conversation with the parents, and they've been together 15 years, 2 children, beautiful, beautiful relationship, like best friends, like real best friends. And that is something that I feel within myself and my husband now. We're just best friends. You've just got everything together, which makes it even more exciting because you can share experiences. Anyway, so I was with these, the married couple, best friends, and we'd had a conversation about, we've been together 15 years. It's good to have experience and try other things, different shapes and sizes and whatnot. So we'd had the conversation, and one night they were like, oh, we're going out with our couple friends. So there was 3 married couples, and they're like, do you want to come? So at that stage, in the swingers world, we call single females a unicorn. So I was a single unicorn with 3 married couples, and we've had a night out, gone back to the hotel, and we've just had this big 7-person orgy. And everyone was interacting with different people at different times. We were all together, or just 2 and 2, girls, guys, and it was just fun. Honestly, we've had a couple of drinks as well, but it was so fun. And like, I remember having sex with my friend's husband, the parents, and she was just like there next to me, just like it was just so natural and normal. And I could see the energy and the passion that the married couple had of just like, they know that they're together. They know that this is they've got their life together, but they're having fun and enjoying each other having fun. And so that obviously really opened my eyes. And so the next day I've gone to my best friends, my vanilla best friends, and I told them about the experience, and they were just blown away. But as I was like repeating the story, I was like, fuck, this is pretty cool. Hey, like, how cool for married couples with kids to be able to do this, have the experience. So that definitely opened my eyes. Then my next experience, the married couple, or a couple took me to a swingers party. And that's where I met my now husband. And so I've gone into the swingers party, and he has met me in the swingers club, and he's like, oh yeah, I've met this hot girl in the swingers club. And he's thought that I was actually more open and into it than I was at the time. And I think I was just in unexperienced. Like, I'd been a single female, so I'd go have the experience and leave. Whereas you're in a relationship, in a couple, it's very, very different. So I did all my learnings and lessons that I had to, very fast tracked, obviously, to be where I am now. But it was just fun, like real stepping into it, going to a swingers club. And like I said, it's not always about the sex. When we went, I only had an experience with the friends that I went with, because I just didn't feel ready to open up to different people. Whereas I know a lot of people love that excitement of newbies. They'll go to a swingers, yeah, I want him. And obviously that's how I can play now in life. But at the first experience, I was a bit kind of a like little shy one in the corner, let's say. So I've definitely evolved and grown into a place of where I am and where I want to be in life.
So, okay, we go back to the 7-person orgy, right? Because that's not, I mean, what an experience to have. Usually I feel like most people would like ease in with like 1 couple, and you did with 3. So that's fucking wild. And congratulations on that, because that's awesome. But what did you, so at dinner, were you like looking around the table like, I'm going to fuck all of these people tonight, or like they're going to fuck me, or like how did it, or did it just happen, or did you, I mean, you had to have sort of an idea, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I definitely had an idea, as obviously all the couples were open, and when we were actually, I think we were out for dinner and drinks, and we actually met another couple. And swingers couples can tell when you meet another swingers couple, and they're just so open. So this couple also joined us as well. Yeah, we'd gone back to the hotel. And I think someone, like one of the girls, was like, oh, let's take off our dresses and just be in our underwear. And we kind of like stripped down for the boys. And then we stripped off the underwear. And then from then, like, it just kind of evolved. I remember I was with a girl and someone else's husband. So there was 3 of us, and we were all kind of like interacting and kissing together. And then we had a first experience first, of a threesome involved. We had some fun, different positions and whatnot. And then we've gone, then I maybe gone to have a drink and chat to someone else. And then I've interacted with someone else. So it wasn't, this particular moment, we weren't 7 on a bed at once. So it was just like 7 in the environment. However, since that, I have done 7 on a bed at once with a ladyboy as well.
Well, I mean, that's incredible too, because I think, you know, there are differences in experiences. And I just feel like you're right with the more normie, vanilla kind of stuff that's like sort of pumped into all of us, like when we're young, this is the way you do it, and da-da-da. People just think wild shit, I think. And sometimes they might be correct. You might be 7 in a bed, right? But other times it's like, no, it's a gradual kind of a thing. And that's what I was really driving at, is like trying to figure out where your mind was at, like in the moments, in the hours leading up. Cause you went out with that couple, so you had to know like something was afoot, like something's gonna happen. But like, I just feel like the anticipation of not knowing, but also like having an idea, but then maybe you didn't know at all. So I'm glad that you pulled, and now that you like pulled those two things apart. Some of the other more, I don't know if they're ridiculous, and let's just get this over with now, right? Like, I saw a TikTok and it was like, this is how you can tell a couple swings. Like the pineapple thing, they like have some sort of like pineapple, like what can we, like, is this true? Like you put a pineapple upside down in your cart at the grocery store, you wear a pineapple piece of jewelry. Like, is this really a thing?
It really is a thing. And that's why you have to go and check out my TikTok. I make a lot of TikToks around the pineapple, because swingers it's the upside down pineapple that is like the logo, let's say, for swingers. So there are some places, this is not something I actually practice or do, but there is a lot of places, for example, in the south of France, where I used to live in Cap d'Agde, is an actual known swingers area. So in that area, for example, you'll have the hotels, and then on the door, they will put like the upside down pineapple. So if you do see that, you can knock on the door and see if the couple are open to fun or exploration. But you just kind of know that's kind of where do I find people would be that as well. But the upside down pineapple is definitely the logo of swinging. But aside that, you can tell a swinging couple, like, if they are open, because both the male and female will check out both the other male and female. And you can see, like, there's no kind of awkwardness or judgment. You can just, if we're in a bar, for example, you can probably tell the energy, because you can see that they're open. Whereas a lot of monogamous couples will kind of be more internal together. Or if they're not a swingers group, you'll either have the girls and then the guys, and they're separated. Whereas in swinging, everyone is just intertwined together. Whereas it's girls or guys, it's all the same.
Yeah, and I think if the dude, right, if the guy isn't gay, or like doesn't do stuff with men, whatever, he's still gonna check that guy out, because that's someone that he wants as. You know what I mean? And I feel like people miss that. You're like, if you want to talk a little bit about that, because that is really important when you're, I guess, like checking out another couple to see if you want these people to have sex with your partner in front of you. Like, I think that a lot of, I had someone on the show very recently, and she was talking about how her partner, who's a guy, like didn't want to do any swinging stuff, and she did, and he didn't want to because he wasn't sure what he should be doing with the guy, and like while all of this other stuff is going on, and she's like, no, you don't have to do anything with the guy, but like you want to make sure that this is someone you want to see have sex with me, so you're gonna be like, and I feel like people just miss that.
And every couple is different. Every scenario, every happening. I cannot say that I've had a lot of experiences, and I cannot say that anyone has been the same. I mean, I've had similar experiences, but not one is the same, because every person is different. Every energy that you exchange with is completely different. But for example, my husband knows the type of guy physically or energetically that I like. And so we could be out and he will catch eyes before I do. It's like, oh, babe, look at him. Because he'll know that that's the type of guy. For example, I really like black guys. So if you've got any black guys out there, send me an application form.
Hit the DMs.
Yeah. So he knows if we're anywhere that he will say, oh, look, babe, there's a nice looking guy. And obviously, if you've got a very vanilla monogamous couple, and there's nothing wrong with that, but obviously that wouldn't be the case. You wouldn't say to your partner, oh, God, this guy's hot. And it's normal. Like, it's aesthetically pleasing. For example, if you go to a nice beach, you go to a nice restaurant, it's aesthetically pleasing. You see a hot person, you see a hot guy, a hot girl, they're aesthetically pleasing. And it's normal that we have everyone has different visuals in the world, and accepting and owning that is a great thing as well. But and for example, for me, Rob and I do like the same girl because I'm bisexual, so I interact with both as well. So we do like generally the majority of time the same type of girl. And so that's also great. So we can like, oh yeah, oh, she looks nice, or she's got a nice energy, or how does she feel? And so it's nice when we can interact together like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is so intricate, and I just think that that's what I want to do with this episode is like kind of break down the little in between things a little bit, because it feels like you're the perfect person to have, that you're the perfect person to be on the show to ask about these things. You're living this lifestyle. If anybody checks out your content, like it's all like fun. Some of it's like lighthearted, like and it's really funny too. You put humor on it, but it does like talk about the swinging stuff, the non-monogamy stuff, the orgies, like the parties, all of those things. So I think if somebody like wants to go even further, the first thing they should do is like add you on Instagram.
Definitely. And I love that, bringing it in a way that is lighthearted, but also has depth and understanding, because such a big thing in the world is the uncomfortability of your own insecurities and jealousies. And I'd love to touch on that because, for example, if you've been cheated on, or if you've had, let's say, unhealthy experiences in a relationship before, that can actually affect you in the now and how you approach a scenario. So it's also really good at looking into your own insecurities. And if something does come up, for example, jealousy, and this is quite a common one. I'm going to use body image as the example. For example, I've had a guy, because I also coach couples in the world as well. So if this is something you're stepping into, please reach out. I had a couple, and the guy was with a girl with breast implants. And whereas the wife didn't have breast implants, and she felt a lot of uncomfortability and a lot of insecurities about this moment, but she didn't actually know why. She just said, no, I don't like it. But, there's always a why behind. So don't like it. Okay, why? And when we did the work and going through, it's because there was uncomfortability of her body image. And this is the big thing in the world, which is all about variety. Every individual brings something different. He has chosen his partner for love and who she is there and everything she brings. And he's just had this desire for a girl. It doesn't mean anything about the wife. She's not any less. And so she went on this journey to work through her insecurities and to be comfortable and say, oh yeah, she's beautiful. She's got nice boobs. She's a different person. And you can see the beauty in the other person rather than flipping it around and making it negative about yourself and feeling those insecurities, I guess. It's normal to feel jealous and insecure. There is times that I do feel jealous as well. Like, for example, my husband will be having an experience and I'll be like, oh, I was actually a little bit jealous. Why am I jealous? It's because, oh yeah, I'd love to, I wish that was me, or I would love to do that with you as well, rather than being like, oh, I'm jealous, I don't like this, and work away, because it would just leave like negative feelings and not a nice feeling in the body. Whereas if you can actually own it in a comfortable way, there's so much more beauty within it. So for example, with my husband, and we'll be like, oh yeah, great, let's do it together next time. And so you work through it that way rather than having those negative emotions, I guess.
Well, and that's the thing that comes up a lot with non-monogamy with every guest that I've had on the show, is that you're still going to get jealous. And just like you said, it's still going to happen, right? But it's a matter of the two things. One, they say that you can, like you said, what is it that's making me feel that way? Not what are they doing that's pissing me off or making me jealous, but why do I feel that way? Number one. And number two, to replace the word jealous with envious, like that you're envious of what's happening because you wish it was you, or you wish you were involved, or whatever, which is what you just said. And I think that's really difficult for a lot of people, whether they're, vanilla or not. I think it's just really tough. It's human.
It's human. It's definitely normal. And from my own experience as well, it's a lot of uncomfortability. But if you can see through that, and would you rather sit in uncomfortability just for a little bit and then see so much growth and fun, or would you rather just, okay, this is not for me, and turn away from the possibilities of anything else of fun and pleasure and exploration? And it's funny because we've actually got another girl with us at home right now. So my husband went out last night with a friend, and they brought a girl home who they've met before. They didn't exchange or anything, but she just came home. They came home late. She stayed here, and we tell each other about everything because they haven't woken up yet. It's really early in the morning for us here. First, when I read the message, I had that initial kind of maybe shock feeling in my body. And I'm like, I take a deep breath. What am I feeling? Where am I sitting? Automatically, it's a lot of conditioning of society as well. We think if our partner brings another girl home, it's automatically cheating. How about looking at it this is obviously, we are in the open world, so it's a lot different, but he's brought a girl home to meet me. They've come home, thought I was still going to be awake. I was sleeping. He knows not to wake me up when I'm sleeping. And so when she wakes up, I'll just be friends and probably exchange conversation with her rather than seeing it in a way of he's brought a girl home, so I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. He doesn't love me. Self-confidence or any issues within myself. And that's the initial feeling that we have, which I said, from the mind, from the judgment, from the ego. When you can come back there past this, take a deep breath. Oh, it's cool that he went out and he had the ability to actually own, to bring a girl home, and say, yeah, I'd love you to meet my wife. And that's it's what is not a lot of this in the world of how to navigate this. And this is why I put all that content out there of how do you step past this and not make it mean anything about you. Here's my husband. We're best friends. We know we've got everything together. It's his one experience. And you never know, I might be best friends with this girl in a couple of days.
I mean, totally. Right. And I think, the things that you said that were profound is that you have to sit with it for a minute and you have to ask yourself, is this worth it to go through this, to then turn around and be able to have the ability to have a different kind of a life and a more pleasure. And most people won't. I mean, I just feel like you already know this, but most people won't. They just want that quick, make it stop kind of thing. So how would you advise somebody who maybe feels internally like they want to have multiple partners, do non-monogamy, do swinging, something, right? But they just can't get past that. They maybe know that they're a jealous person, but how would they navigate getting cool with themselves first? Because you did say it is a big self thing.
Yeah, it's definitely, it all starts within. Everything we do in life all comes from within. And, definitely around, I'm 30 and a lot of around my age at the moment, with a lot of childhood trauma and things from the childhood are coming out. However, you grew up in your childhood, and it's really important to look into that. If that is something that affects you. For example, there is people that go through life and nothing affects them, and that's great. But especially I've seen it a lot in this world, it does arise. So if you have maybe, daddy issues or control issues or insecurities, feeling them when they arise, instead of reacting on emotion or that fight or flight ping mode, just stop. Just take a second. Nothing's going to change. You're not going to lose anything in 5 minutes. Just take that 5 minutes, just breathe and just be present. Come into your body, come into your heart. Leave the mind. The mind is what controls us, but we want to be able to feel. How are you actually feeling? What's that feeling that's coming up? Is it a feeling of anxiousness? Can you turn the anxiousness into curiosity rather than the anxiousness being, oh my God, this is not okay, rather than being oh, what fun am I going to have? What am I going to find out about this person? What am I going to explore? And feeling into that. Or, for example, body image. I'm feeling, oh yeah, my heart's heavy because I remember I was always bullied in school for being fat, and that stuck with me, and I'm not fat, but I feel it. And so just moving through that to be able to be and you've got to let these emotions go. You've got to feel it to be able to move through. Especially for women, we go through life not being able to communicate or as our emotions or suppressing them. And this is a great way to be able to, and it's okay to have those awkward conversations that say, oh, I'm feeling a little bit this, or I'm feeling that, and just communicating that with your partner if you're in a partner, or internally. Breathwork, meditation, mindfulness, changing your mindset on seeing the fun. And that's definitely something journeyed with very deeply, very quick, is changing that feeling of anxiousness into curiosity. Oh, I'm going to a party. Who am I going to meet? Who am I going to, maybe there's going to be new friends that I'm going to hang out with, or I'm going to have this really nice experience, or someone really knows how to give a good head job, kind of those things, and everyone brings something different. So having that curiosity, and that's hard because the conditioning of society is that it's not normal. But like I say, for me in my life now, it's completely normal, and everyone around me is in this lifestyle as well. We have 140 people at parties. The event that we are working and hosting at in Jamaica is going to have 500 people.
Wow.
There's a lot of people in this world. It's just not really spoken about. So yeah, this podcast is great for those wanting to explore or dive into it.
Yeah, because I think I don't know why I do that. Why I say we, but like there's a staff of people behind me or whatever, but it does feel like there's a staff of people behind me. I do have an editor, so there is a team, right? There's whatever. I think on this show, I tend to try to come to it like a normal person that has no knowledge of anything. Even if I do, I sort of just kind of pretend like I'm the audience, right? So like right now, it's just like a whole thing where I'm like acting like I need to ask these questions, and I've said it in another way before. Like there are no dumb questions, but sometimes I ask dumb questions because everybody's like, ask her this, ask her this. So it's like I can hear all the voices of the future audience in my brain. And now that I sound completely mad, I think what I want to ask you is the jealousy piece that we just talked about. Did you struggle with that? Like as you got deeper and deeper into non-monogamy with yourself, did you find yourself thinking that maybe you had conquered the jealousy and then it came back in ways that it sort of like bent and contorted around, or no, you kind of like felt it and got through it?
It was for my own journey. It was more so my own insecurities that from myself than jealousy from others that I navigated. I didn't. It's only recently now I know how to understand the whole jealousy part. I'll be like, oh yeah, I was a little bit jealous because I just wish that was me. But more so for my own journey, it was probably thinking, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or not being worthy enough, or self-confidence issues, and like my own limiting beliefs holding me back, and a lot of control as well. And so that was more what I journeyed with than the jealousy. And I guess it is interrelatable, but I think the more you can open yourself and just allow it to be and allow it to flow and have the willingness to want to explore, it will just come. I've worked with a couple, and at the start, they had experiences and they're like, okay, yeah, she's not ready. It wasn't for her. They've taken about like 5 or 6 months just to themselves. And now they've come back around and they're having so much fun and experiences with others. It's just knowing yourself where you're at. It can be a lot for like your nervous system if this is something completely new to you. So it's just having that self-awareness for yourself and giving you what you need to be like, okay, I am feeling a little bit jealous, or my emotions are heightened. Speak to your partner. Hey, babe, I'm really feeling like this. How about we do this, and come to maybe a match in the middle, rather than constantly putting yourself into that jealousy and frying your nervous system, and just slowing down a little bit and knowing like, okay, I'm doing this for me, working on my own insecurities and jealousies this week, because then next month or next week, we'll be able to have an experience where we're both more fully present, and that curiosity is there, taking away that like the anxiousness and the insecurities.
Yeah, because it is work. Like this lifestyle was a lot of work.
It's probably the hardest, or the most, the challengingest work that I've done in this, because it is all a reflection of where our own self. And I've learned so much about myself that I never knew even existed. I never knew even possible, because I grew up a very sheltered life in the countryside with about 3 houses in North Wales in the UK. And yeah, I had absolutely no idea. So that also plays a big part. Whereas my husband, at the age of 19, he had 2 girlfriends. He's grew up in a non-monogamy polyamory world. So it was very, let's say, normal for him. But it was also a huge shift and huge change when we were married and he had a wife. And it was a lot different to how he's navigated and done stuff before. So even though he's very experienced, it was still a new challenge for us to navigate. And we are so raw and open with everything that we journey with to be able to share, because it's normal. People say, oh yeah, the swingers just go and have sex or go and have fun. But it does take a lot of openness to get to that part as well.
Yeah, it's a lot more work, but it's a lot more reward. So I think that's what people miss, because when you start adding other people and then also the jealousy, the envy, all of the things, I mean, it's like a couple of full-time internal emotional therapy jobs that are going on inside your own head. And then all of these other people just don't, I think they miss that. You're right. They do think it's all blowjobs and pineapples and whatever, but it does seem to be even people who just maybe aren't swinging, but people have been on the show. There's one in particular, like she lives and dies by her Google Calendar, because she has so many different boyfriends who know of each other, but like she's filling the slot. She's like, this is hard work. So it is, non-monogamy is a ton of work. You talked about your husband a lot there. So let's tell the story of how you met your husband, because this is fun and fascinating. But you met him at a swinger party, right? What was that like? What was the sex like? Tell me everything.
Yeah, sure. So I had seen him on social media and I judged him. I judged him for being a porn star. I judged him for who he was. And that was because I've later come to realize, because he was doing everything that I wanted to do. I just didn't know myself, or I was hiding it within myself. And it was my ego of, oh, that's not me. I'm not like that. Take over. And the more I was able to flow into that, obviously we met for a reason, and there's a reason why we're in this lifestyle together. So we met in the swingers club. We introduced ourselves, and it was very basic. It was just like, hi, I'm Katy. Hi, I'm Rob. And I actually got visions of the moment right now. He was actually wearing a white shirt. I remember that. And we've just had the conversation, and then that was that. And then he's gone off to play. I think I was just sitting on the sofas, and actually the girl that he was with came to me, and he was like, oh, Rob, Rob's asking if you want to go and see him. And I said, no. Same again. I had that judgment. I was like, no, I'm okay. Thank you. And we didn't exchange physically at that time. And then that was that. We've carried on with life. And a couple of weeks later, he accidentally found me on social media. He was actually looking for another fitness girl to invite to the swingers party. And he was like, oh, there's the chick from the swingers club. And so we've connected. He tried to hang out with me and go for a walk, or hang out a couple of times. And same again, I had internal judgment. I was like, oh, I can't hang out with a porn star, or he's a porn star, and I can't do that. And then one Sunday night, this is probably the biggest weekend that changed my life. I did a breathwork session, and I was so internal, so in my body. It was amazing. Felt so open to anything. And he messaged me saying, oh, I've got a hot air balloon ride in the morning. Would you like to come? I was like, shit, yeah. So we went on this hot air balloon ride, and that was literally, we haven't looked back since.
So it took a hot air balloon for you to say yes.
Well, I preferred the communication, the conversations that we were having more so together than the actual hot air balloon ride. So even if we would have just met, I guess, and gone for a coffee, that still would have been there. But I guess, the fun of the hot air balloon ride added it in. So we've hung out. The second day, just gone for a beach walk. We had a first kiss, and then he went to go and shoot content for work. with another girl. And it was just so normal. I was like, yeah, okay, he's just leaving to go and have sex with someone else who is now actually one of my best friends. And it was just so normal. And then the third date, we had dinner together and I left there. I remember leaving his house. I've called my best friend and I said, I'm going to marry this guy. The next week we went ring shopping together, and after 6 weeks, he very beautifully proposed. And it's been a roller coaster. It has been, because everything happened so fast and there was a lot of change for both of us, but we navigate as we grow. We've grown so much within that space, and it's such a beautiful relationship that we have to be able to do it all together. But it was a wild ride. It was a wild ride, and I will openly share that with people. But the commitment and the love and the depth of our souls that we had is, brought so much love within that.
Yeah, and I think that's super important, right? Because people, again, I think don't realize that there is a lot more that goes into this than sex. I mean, we were talking about 7-person orgies and all these things, and then you're like, no, we went for a beach walk, we had a kiss, we went for a hot air balloon, like this, these things that are like typically generalized romantic things that you're doing. And then you wind up getting married. How long have you guys been married?
It's married a year and a half, just nearly a year and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
We got married 3 months, 3 months in.
Yeah. So you said he was a porn star, and that he was obviously he's been in this lifestyle longer than you have, right? So what changed about his life once he became married to you?
I think at the start we both put too much pressure on ourselves of thinking, because we both did this single, but when we came together, we put a lot of pressure thinking, our first experience together needs to be like this, or it's got to be with the right person, or we want to have it organized. And whereas that was, everything happens for a reason. Actually, our first experience with another couple was filmed on camera, and it was so beautiful. But we put a lot of pressure onto ourselves, and that created maybe a little bit more attention tightness, I say, rather than we wish now, because we were both in that world, we wish that we would have just been like, let's go and have an experience together first, rather than creating this unnecessary pressure on ourselves. And that definitely did. We've worked through that now, but that was definitely something to navigate at the start. For him, it was going from having a wife. Like, he's always enjoyed seeing his partner, his girlfriends with other people, but he was just like, we still have so much love, and that it was also like, you're in a new relationship, that erotic, yummy feeling, and we just wanted to stay in that bubble together. And then I guess we've both found it. How to bring that conversation up to each other. It's like, hey, I want to have these experience. And it was just like about navigating that, which was different. And also for me, being a single female now into a married couple, doing it single and in a relationship is very different. So it's just I guess this being open and navigating those waters.
Like, and so did you start shooting content with him like from the start of your sexual relationship, or was it something that you would then, like, you guys talked about, or that was the next level? Because it feels like that's like a next level thing, is if you're in the swinger lifestyle and then all of a sudden you're married and you're in the jelly romance bubble, right? You don't want to leave it. Everything you just said.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah. And then he does these things for work, and then you're like, oh, like, and then whatever. Does he ask you, hey, I want you to shoot content with me? Or like, how does that conversation happen? And what was that like going to the next level? When did that happen in the relationship?
Yeah, so I was, at the start of our relationship, I was still a kindergarten teacher, and I got, I was proposed and everything, still as a kindergarten teacher. So some of the parents and my coworkers, they loved it. They were like, oh my God, Katy just married a porn star. And some of them didn't understand it, but some of them were like so curious for the activities that we would get up to each weekend. So I didn't start content for I think for about 5 to 6 months after being together. And that's because I had a TikTok, and my TikTok just blew up, and I was doing bikini workouts, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to make an OnlyFans and just do more bikini sexy stuff because I had it in me. So it was from that's how I started doing my own OnlyFans, and it was all just solo. And then we grew into, what about having an experience together? And obviously it was on camera because the couple that we did it with are also an OnlyFans couple and they're also a swingers couple as well. So we were like, why not do it together? And my first swinger swap video is amazing because it's so vulnerable. It's so open. You can see the conversations that Rob and I are having. The other couple are asking if I'm comfortable. How do we feel about this? And there's a lot of communication within this swinger swap video for other couples to see how to navigate it, rather than like, okay, we've met a couple, let's fuck. But how do you get from here to here to there? And so this is why now this video is probably one of my best sold, and I give that out as well, videos for people to learn from and to see it's normal. Okay, how do you feel? Is this okay? Am I feeling a little bit anxious? Take a breath, and just notice that within yourself and navigate it together. So it's actually really, really beautiful to have, and to even look back on, to be like, wow, this is the first moment that we swapped as a married couple.
Well, and also I think when you talk about sex in general, but mainly like the content or porn or whatever, or OnlyFans, anything that involves sex on camera, I think that vulnerability that's visible, right, and like conversation that's visible is always going to outdo the stuff that is more like polished. And even when they put like stupid little like storylines into porn, like for me, that is like, even if it's so unbelievable, it's the delivery. There's something about that psychology of being vulnerable, and there's something so visceral and real about that in such a sexual way that I think that's always going to outdo, like, it doesn't matter who's you could have, you could have major celebrities having sex on camera, and people would at the end probably choose something with more of a psychological than just sex, right? And so I think it sounds like you sort of put that into all of your content now somehow.
Yeah, it's definitely acknowledging. I just wanted to touch on that of the having the sex on camera.
Sure.
It is vulnerability, and to be able to be witnessed and to see yourself in your fullest expression, however messy or romantic or erotic, playful, dirty, however that looks or feels to you, it just is. And the biggest thing, we're all mirrors and reflections of each other in this world. So for example, if I was to maybe see sex at the start, I was like, ooh, what is this? And it's because, it's one of those things. I didn't really watch porn when I was younger. It's one of those things you're like, ooh, what is this? Like, how am I feeling watching this? And just acknowledging yourself within that, which is such a big one in the world. And I know if someone maybe watches my videos or the content and will get maybe like judgment or jealousy or insecurities, that's a reflection of themselves, of like, oh yeah, okay, I'm judging Katy because of I'm judging myself somewhere, rather than be like, oh yeah, Katy, she's having fun, good on her, and taking away that judgment. And then coming back to the reality of I say ethical porn, because everything I do is real and consented to. And I think this is a great one with OnlyFans, because it has definitely opened that sexuality within people who have never normally experienced this before, and myself being one of them. You can see, like, in all of the videos and everything I do, it's all consented. It's all, how would you like this? How do you feel like this? What do you want? It's all about giving, receiving, and sometimes taking, but having those conversations, especially for a female, rather than just kind of like being there, not speaking, not feeling into her body, and just taking it and not knowing how to communicate. And it's not a really healthy experience, because your body will just disconnect from its feelings. And so noticing what you're feeling and how, like, okay, what do I actually like watching? What do I want to receive? What do I want to do? It is one to look at. And just to expand on that a little bit, every experience can look different. So for myself, my priority on what I prefer is a one-on-one experience. I love that one-on-one connection, that the depth that you can go to over that time with one person. Whereas Rob loves it all. He would happily have 20 people on a bed, and everyone has their own desires and needs, and that's totally fine. And it's about acknowledging your own and finding balance between that. If obviously you're in a relationship, or knowing where you're at. So if I go to a swingers party, I'm not really a watcher. I'm not a visual voyeur, as we say. But Rob loves watching. And so this was interesting. We went to a swingers party, and he was like, oh, which room do you want? Oh, it was actually our swingers party that we were hosting. And he was like, oh, which room do you want to stay in and watch? And I said, I don't feel like I want to stay in a room and watch. So, and that's my personal preference. I do enjoy seeing my friends have fun, and like have sex. My friends have had sex next to me a lot of the time, and I just say, oh yeah, you're having fun. She's enjoying it. It's that physical energy, just sitting there. Like I'm probably holding her hand and that, yeah, have fun, girl. But I'm not a voyeur, but whereas Rob is. And so it's just acknowledging everyone has their differences. What do you want to see? What do you want to embody, and feeling that within yourself, and also learning when you step into this world, you might not know, and that's okay. There was a lot of things I didn't know 2 years ago, but I know now, and it's about opening up within that. And all of my explorations have been through the OnlyFans platform, the majority, including the Ladyboys too.
Okay, well, you meant this is the second time, or maybe third time you mentioned the Ladyboy. So, like,
Yeah.
from a vanilla standpoint, right? Let's pretend like that no one knows what a Ladyboy is. What is a Ladyboy, and what are your Ladyboy experiences?
So, Ladyboy is a transgender, either male or female. I personally have only interacted with transgender women. So it's a male that has gone through his life being very feminine, being attracted to males, and realizing that he wants to be a she, and will go through that process. So they will grow their hair, they will do all the medical things that's needed to be a woman, but will keep a penis. So it's basically a woman with boobs and a penis. And as I'm bisexual, it's great. You get the best of both worlds. You're getting the feminine energy, you're getting the boobs, and you're also getting that penetration from a male. And I think this is such a big one. And, you know, a lot of people, I think when maybe 5-10 years ago, you would have mentioned transgender to me, I would be like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? You know? And then the more you go on and you be open in life to having no judgment and accepting and acknowledging everyone is different and everyone has their own journey. I'm very big, you know, on people who do step out the box, because it takes a lot of courage to do so. And so I met some friends brought a Ladyboy to dinner with us, and we just had dinner together. And then the next time we planned to sexually interact with each other. And it was a one-on-one experience. And honestly, it was one of the most beautiful experiences that I've had. It was so organic and yummy and exciting to do this together. And yeah, like it was about both of, the girl I was just talking about is actually just leaving the house right now. Hey.
Amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, this is our lifestyle, right? But coming back to the Ladyboy, I see that's really interesting. So I felt something within that as she's walked past and just waved. I felt something, and I'm like, I just took that breath, and I'm like, oh, it was beautiful. You know, she's just standing there, just waving, looking so cute. Coming back to Ladyboys, yes, we've had this experience, and so I've been had a girl with the penis, but it's kind of like having, you know, a strap on as well. So the first experience was amazing, and I was like, fuck, I want to do more of this. So I've had a couple more experiences as we've gone along, and Ladyboys are so like sexy and horny. It just makes the experience so fun. But it's definitely, it's definitely a big society judgment view of things of like, but I said, I openly share all my experiences, and I do this so people can open into the world as well.
Well, do you see the world, because you did say, and I love, thank you so much for being honest. Like you said 5-6 years ago, you'd be like, transgender, what the fuck? But now I mean, you would call this an evolution. I would call this the Pineapple Express because you're moving quickly into this lifestyle. So like, might be the name of the episode. We'll know soon. But, do you see society and the shift, like the shift happened in you and becoming more open and accepting and into these things? Do you see that happening, or do you see there's a lot more, I mean, obviously there's a lot more, there's a ways to go with all of this stuff, right? But do you think we're moving in the right direction as far as acceptance?
Definitely. And there is always going to be people in the monogamous world who choose to live that way of life, and that's totally fine, each to their own. But the more, and this is why I put this content out there, the more that I can give and openly talk about my experiences, it just gives people permission to be able to see that what is possible and to see that it is. And as I've gone through life, and, you've got to look at why there's so much cheating and leading to divorce and things like this. If people are only just so open and honest with their desires and approached it in a healthy way, knowing we're all human, and that I don't believe that one person can fulfill every need, every desire. And having awareness and acknowledging this, it's so possible. And it's just love. Polyamory, open relating is all about love. The more love you can give, the more love you will receive, rather than sitting in that uncomfortability or fear or judgment. Just be open. But it takes a lot. It does take a lot to embody. But if this is something that you're curious or wanted to step into, please reach out, because I'm all for it and would love to support the journey. But I do think 3 to 5 years' time, open relating, swingers, polyamory is going to be a lot more common to the mainstream world that it is today.
Katy Bampton, thank you so much for being on Sex Party. Let's tell these lovely people, or show them, whatever, where they can find you, where they can work with you, where they can ask you questions, subscribe to everything that you're doing.
Yeah, it's Katy Fit is my platform everywhere. So Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and my website, it's Katy Fit. I'm sure I'll put the links here below. Everything is there, so you can see that, the lighthearted fun jokes we have about, oh, hey babe, I've just called your girlfriend or something like this, or hey babe, I've just brought a black guy home for you. The lighthearted fun, but also just showing what's possible. What is possible out there. And then again, if you do have those insecurities or jealousies and you're thinking, fuck yeah, I can resonate a lot with what Katy said, please reach out to me. Through breathwork and sensuality, I dive into all these practices, and I love what I bring to the world.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have you back. There's so many things I wanted to ask you that we ran out of time for or whatever. And also too, I'm interested in the breathwork stuff because I've been hearing so much. So I definitely want to have you back. But thank you so much for being here for your first time on Sex Party. So I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Totally. Talk soon. Big thank you to my guest, Katy Bampton, for being on the show this week. Thank you, Katy, for educating us all, making the world a better place. If you want more guests like Katy, you're still on the Sex Party train. You want more, you need more, you have to have it. How do you get through to me and tell me to stay on it, keep making more things, more shows, more spinoffs, all of it, right? Spinoffs, there's a couple different ways you can show that love, that appreciation, that desire for more Sex Party. If you are listening on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you could subscribe to the show. That's the most important. You could leave a rating. You could leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel. Most important part. We've already established that. You could like the video. I don't know. I mean, you could leave a comment. That would be very, very nice. I love you guys. You know where to find me on Instagram, although we're pissed at Instagram right now. I'll still be there. Find me in the DMs on Instagram. And as always, I will see you right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at Sex Party FM. Follow Dustin at Dustin Rybka.